Good afternoon and welcome to Monday. It's Mass Pack Monday, and the Federation is doing um, daily live stream presentations at 2 p.m. every day. And welcome to Monday. It's week 10 here, and it's mid-May, and it looks like spring is finally happening in New England, and we have a long weekend ahead, Memorial Day this upcoming weekend. So we have something to look forward this week with trees starting to show leaves and flowers blooming, and hopefully a healthy environment for everyone. On Mondays, I usually bring you up to date on what's happening in our special education world here in Massachusetts. On every Friday, our Department of Elementary and Secondary Education holds a meeting for special education administrators and releases a PowerPoint presentation that is available on the department's website. And I'll put the link to that page in the chat room here so that you can access some of these documents. You can view the PowerPoint presentation. There's also an updated version of additional resources on special education that was posted recently. It was dated May 15th. That was Friday. There's a new preschool remote learning guidelines document. So if you have a child in preschool, you may want to review that as to some of the learning objectives that should be happening during remote learning. And there's also an updated FAQ, frequently asked questions document. So those are all new guidance documents from the Department of Education, and they are up on the website, and you can access them. If you have any questions about any of these documents, what they say, some of the guidance, you're always welcome to contact the Federation here. Our call center is open, and you can also send us an email. So there's lots of ways for you to get your questions answered. Some of the issues that were dealt with in Friday's presentation was about virtual IEP meetings. And we know that virtual IEP meetings should be happening now, and that if you were scheduled for one, you should have been contacted by your school district, possibly to extend the deadline. You can agree to extend a deadline, that something that works for you in the school district. You can also agree that an extended deadline would not work for your family, and that you would like to hold the meeting at an earlier date. So these are things that you need to, agree to. The school district, though, cannot ask you to waive any of your procedural rights. So there should be no blanket provision that you would, as a family, waive all your procedural rights to be able to have this virtual meeting or agreeing to an extension. So that we want you to be aware of, that you still hold all your rights, but you can agree with the district to revise that timeline or not. And get your virtual meeting and hold that virtual meeting. We do ask that you collaborate with your school and focus on the things that you need to deal with most immediately around your child, around your child's learning plan and their IEP. You need to always consent to any evaluations that they might be conducting. Those might be virtual evaluations, and there's lots of ways for you to do that. They don't need an actual signature on a form. You can do it via email or via phone. So there's several different options. There's going to be a lot more guidance on these issues around IEPs and timelines coming out from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, hopefully by the end of this week. So there will be some more formal guidance for both schools and families on virtual IEP meetings. At the Federation, we've been getting a lot of questions about what's happening for extended school year. What are the plans? And I think there's been some movement from some of the school districts in announcing. I know my school district has announced that they will continue to hold virtual remote learning in extended school year at this time, unless there's further guidance. And so because we don't have any decision yet on whether schools will reopen, whether in-person classroom type settings will be allowed, we just ask that families plan for both with their school district, that you consider whether your child will participate in remote learning. And I think that might be a family decision. I've seen a lot of discussions on Facebook pages of CPACs that a lot of families are very tired from this whole remote learning plan. It's maybe not working for their child, and they might be considering not to participate. And I think you really need to decide what's best for your family and your student, but we encourage you to access all of the offered services that are happening in this time. We might find that extended school year looks a little different for students on IEPs because the regular classes will not be held, and your student may be able to focus on those types of instructions and lessons that are related to their IEP goals in a different format in an extended school year. Once again, have these conversations with your school district, with your school liaison, with your connected person at the school district, so that you can get a better understanding of what is supposed to happen for your student during the extended school year. And we recommend that you take advantage of all of these different opportunities and make it work for your student. We really don't know when we will go back to school. In Massachusetts here, we rely on our governor to make those decisions as to when schools will reopen. Today, we learned that he's going to rely on public health data and make those decisions as the data here in Massachusetts looks like it's safe for both educators and students to return to in-person sessions. And right now, there's no decision yet, and we don't know when that in-person instruction will continue. But what we do know is that it's going to be difficult to re-enter and to start school up again. We face a lot of barriers. We know that our students have been traumatized by this change in their schedule, by remote learning, by not being in the classroom, and by not having access to the instruction that they had received when they were in school. And so we recommend that CPAC start to work with their school districts to make this conversation happen so that when we do re-enter schools and when we do come up with plans for what that's going to look like, that it's family centered, that it's student centered, that it has the voice of families of children with special needs in this decision making process. This is a time for us to give input as to what's working, what's not working, and how our families might be affected by this. What are the plans for keeping social distance? What are the plans for keeping a healthy school environment? Over the weekend, the Centers for Disease Control issued a new graphic around, what does it take to have a healthy school, and what are the phases that you would need to have in place to ensure the safety of students. But we know some of our students with medically complex needs may not, these situations may not work for them. So we need to have schools be informed as to how reentry of school will affect all students. And this is a perfect opportunity for those special education parent advisory councils to have some input into the decision-making process. We know it's going to be difficult. We know it may or may not happen. There's a lot of phases happening here in Massachusetts of how things are going to be slowly reopened, and we see how the virus affects, those phase out, those rollouts of reopening. And it's a new world. It's undocumented, and the more we can have conversations and bring people into the planning process, I think the better. So here we are, week 10, and we're looking forward to a 3-day weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And we do know that the governor announced today that we will be able to get haircuts next Monday. So there's lots of things to look forward to. And I hope you tune in to the rest of the live streams this week for the Federation at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow is our Transition Tuesday, and we hope to see you there. So I'm going to put some links into the chat box so you can access not only the Department of Education, Elementary and Secondary Education's website, the link to all of those documents that I talked about, but also that new CDC graphic. And please let us know if you have any questions as you continue to navigate this strange new world. Have a great day.